What is up, builders and makers? It's S, and I'm here with a model Starship Enterprise. This is the Polar Lights kit. And first, gotta get a cup of that Earl Grey. Tip top, ready to go. Gotta give a shout out to my pal George for having this in stock. I've wanted to build this for years. So you get the Starship Enterprise, and you also get the Botany Bay model. And forgive me, I was not an original series watcher. I'm just happy to get my grubby little paws on any Star Trek ship that I can, just so I can get into building. So, some of these parts aren't even attached to plastic. They're just there, like the saucer section is just there. You get 2 sets of nacelles for like the 2 different types of models you can build, and you get a lot of decals as well, and a couple spare parts. At some point, I'm gonna have enough spare parts, I think, to build, a cool board cube or something, just assimilate all them spare parts. But for now, let's just start with Botany Bay. I don't know why. Are we gonna find Khan? Maybe. I don't know. There were definitely some points with this where I was on the struggle bus, and I think I was using the wrong type of knife to trim away some of the excess plastic, but it's been ages since I built a model, and that needs to change. I think the thing that I struggle with the most is that I'm trying to do these for the tubes, and so it's the recording and the editing and kinda, I'm not gonna say it sucks the fun out of it, but it does make it a lot more work than it would be. And yeah, things are always chaotic at my actual job as well, so that doesn't help. But I just keep on building. So now we're getting to the actual Enterprise itself, and there's a saucer section that you start out with. There are some domes that you put on the top. There's also these really tiny lights that you gotta put on the port and starboard side, and I was so terrified that I was gonna lose those, and miraculously I did not. So it all turned out fine. I'm really hoping to get more Star Trek models in future to put together. I got a couple at the Fox Valley Flea Market recently, and Kayla Schwilling, I will be in Vegas at the end of this week at the convention. I don't know though, because I did choose Spirit Airlines, and I don't know how that's gonna go. What makes me a bit more comfortable about this convention is that, things were looking okay back in April when I ordered the tickets, and, now things are looking bad, pandemic-wise. I'm allowed to say that, right? But since then, the organizers have said you've either got to have a negative test or your vaccination card, which I can provide a vaccination card. Ha ha ha. That's something that I did. And gotta be fully masked up when we're on the convention floor. Actually, I think the whole state of Nevada, you've got to be wearing a mask when you're indoors, which makes things a little bit less fun, but it's gonna make things a lot safer. So it'll be fine. Hopefully we'll get through this. Hopefully we'll even get there. I don't know. Man. But the other thing, since there were 2 sets of nacelles, I had to figure out which model that I wanted to build, which I settled on the production model of the ship. Or did I? I don't remember. I may have to go back and look that up. Yeah, how dare I forget it. It's the first pilot version starship that I built, and so you have to pick the appropriate nacelles and the appropriate pieces for it. But of course I went with the one from the cage, even though I've only seen the cage like once, because we stand Captain Pike in this house. And I'm wondering how similar the ship from Strange New Worlds is gonna look to that original. Not that I'll remember, I don't remember things. Some of these nacelles were really tricky as well, and I was kind of on the struggle bus, and you'll see later how I remedied that. But the Polar Lights kits are supposed to be really precise, and there are some places where the fit is just, it's too snug. And in fact, the pieces do not 100% fit, but I figured out a way to sort that, and you'll see that soon. And of course, we've got to start building the main body of the ship. The other thing about this is that it says there isn't glue required, and it also says make sure, absolutely, if you're going to commit to gluing, that you know exactly what pieces you're using, which is legit. But you will need glue in a couple spots, even if you're not thinking that you're going to glue things. So I'm trying to put this together, and there are some parts that just, until I glued it, they just popped off. And that's just how it is sometimes. That's fine. Here's another part where one of the pegs was just too thick, and that just would not be space worthy if that was out in space. And I believe trying to pry it apart, I probably put some stress on the plastic as well, so it still wouldn't be space worthy either way, but I tried, and I tried to pop the saucer on and it wouldn't stay on. And then I just put it away for like a couple weeks. I got frustrated. But, see, we're back on it again. Different night, different drink. Here's what I did with all those tricky pieces where they just weren't fitting, is I went with my X-Acto blade and I just started filing them down until I could get the right fit. And that was ultimately the best thing to do and the most helpful for this model. Sometimes you've just got to. And with enough filing and enough like test, smashing them together and seeing what happens, I was able to get things to fit again. I did accidentally slice a peg off too. Oh my god. So that had to be glued as well. So there was a point where I had things mostly together, and because the saucers kept coming off and the nacelles kept coming off, I decided to go glue it. But my filming setup is in my bedroom, and I don't like to glue things in the room that I sleep in, you know, because of fumes. So you don't get to see the gluing part. Just imagine that I stuck some glue in some key parts, because look at that. Look how the nacelle just came off. Like, that's all I did. So I glued the nacelles on, I glued the saucers on. There were a couple small pieces that kept coming loose that I glued on as well. And now we're painting. Now, I did not go out. There is a guide in here with the tester paint colors that you would need if you chose to go that route. I did not, because I did not feel like going to the store to buy paint. I've got paint in my house. I also think that the tester enamel paint, like the standard model paint that you get, smells horrible, and that was another thing that I didn't want in the same room that I'm sleeping in. So I started with these little lights because I only needed a tiny bit of green, and I just helped myself to some out of the tubes to get that, and just thinned it out a little bit. The red I did squeeze out of the tube because we'll use red in other parts of the project. And the metallic paint was the hardest. Anything that was metallic or that I mixed to be metallic, like the metallic red that I mixed up, like, you need more coats of that. I think the Liquitex Basic isn't the best pigmented, especially in their metallic paint, and you've just got to go for it. But that's fine. I just did a couple coats. So... Yeah, so I so wanted this finished as well that, you can see me in my work clothes, like, I would just come home after work and just do this instead of, I don't know what I do. I'm just mixing up some grays. There are like 3 different shades of gray that you need for this model. So I mixed up like the best approximation on my own. You can look up a tester paint color guide online if you're not wanting to actually buy paints, and I don't know, I do a pretty good job of color matching on my own. Some people struggle with that, I understand, but I did okay with this one. Just mixing a little bit more. Mostly for these nacelles because, gosh, that... Now the fun part is we've got these water slide decals, which I haven't used since I was a kid. And I prefer them over the sticker decals, but they're difficult. The little ones are difficult, the big ones are difficult. The easiest way I've found to get the little ones away from the paper and out of the water is to actually just use your X-Acto blade to fish them out. Because they're just so tiny, it's hard to do it. And then just slap them on in the right spot, and that's the easy part. And at the final decal, this is the last one that you need to put on the ship. You get a couple more ship names and numbers in here as well if you don't want to make an Enterprise. And I think that's really cool. You also get the Mirror Universe decals if you want to make a Mirror Universe Enterprise. So now I'm just assembling the stand for this. And there's multiple pieces to the stand, and I didn't quite figure them out while I was filming, and my camera battery died. So, you get what you get with this. Can't even see it. It's too tall. And that's what it looks like. There's a couple more pictures. I like how that side turned out with the decals, but the other side not so much. And a couple more shots when I figured out how to get Botany Bay on its stand. And then this guy just sitting and judging me while I work on it. Thank you all so much for watching. This was a really fun build, and of course I've got a couple more ships and hope to have more in the hopper as well. Maybe I'll get them on film. We'll see. But yeah, thank you so much. And I appreciate, especially with the amount of work that I put into this, I really do appreciate when people are interested in what I'm doing. So, yeah, y'all are the best, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks. Bye.